Hey YouTubers, today we're at a cottage on Lake Joseph. Today we're stripping wallpaper in preparation for a repaint. So let's get into our demonstrations. Next thing we want to do is apply some warm water to the surface of the paper and let it penetrate through the perforations that we've made. We want to use the hottest possible water that you can. Let's see how we do with that process. Soak the sponge into the hot water. Waterlog the sponge. Apply it to the surface. Don't squeeze too hard or you're going to lose all your liquid right away. And then just move it to and fro across the paper like that. Work your way down. Work your way right the way through. Just let that soak for a while. You could let it soak for a couple of minutes to 10 minutes depending on how strong the adhesive is, how strong the bond is to the wall. Test and see how the paper is going to release. So we start at the top. In this case the top right hand corner. It could be the top left hand. Doesn't really matter, whatever your preference is. And just pick the paper if you can and try to pull it. So here we can see that it's not too bad. It's a little bit of the backing paper still stuck there, but it's going to take a little bit more time than that. So what we could do while we're waiting is give it another washing down with the water. Press that water in and just go to and fro. And it may be that the hot water isn't going to do the trick. In this case it looks like it's going to. But if it's too stubborn, if you've really kept this wet, if you soaked it down 4 or 5 times and over the course of 10 or 15 minutes, then we need to do something else. Looking away at stripping this paper for a good 15-20 minutes now, and we haven't made too much progress, but it's worth taking a little bit of time to investigate this, and then once we know how things are performing, water on the paper, it's not softening the primer, or the wall isn't crumbling away as we pull the paper off, and that's important because that could really give us headaches with our prep for painting. And even if we were repapering, we wouldn't want to make too much a mess of the walls and get unevenness under the walls. So what are we going to do now that we've seen that this process isn't really the best? What can we do? If we're not able to strip our paper with hot water, as I tried to demonstrate, well, we go to Wallpaper Stripper. And I'm not really promoting this brand necessarily over any other, but this will attack the adhesive a lot more than just hot water would. Softens it up, and then we should be able to strip our paper more effectively. It's pretty straightforward. We just take our spray gun, and you will find that you'll have to give this a really liberal soaking. You won't be able to get away with just a light soaking. You can perhaps see it running down there, and that's probably the degree that you'll have to give this, all the way down. And then follow the instructions depending on each manufacturer. In this case it says 2 to 10 minutes. So we'll leave that and see how we do when we come back. Before I show you scraping demonstration, I just want to talk about our 2 scrapers here. This is just a regular 2.5 inch putty knife. It has a slight angle on it. It could be a flat, doesn't really matter. And then this is a plastic drywall knife. But I prefer to use the plastic because I don't want to create any more imperfections in the drywall than we already might do in the process. And because it's papered, there may be imperfections under there already. We just don't want to make things worse. We can use a metal scraper. I'm not averse to it, but we want to make sure that our backing paper is really soft and loose before we endeavor to try and use one of these. And we can create more damage than is necessary if we try to use a metal knife and we don't soften our backing paper enough. So just something to keep in mind. Here's a bit of a close-up to give you an idea of how to handle these scraping tools when we start to take this paper off the wall. As you remember, we tried to use hot water. It didn't really soften up the glue enough. And now we've tried a chemical product to help attack the adhesive. So let's just see how things are going to work out here. As I said, I don't mind using a metal scraper, but we don't want to get into this type of action when there's a stabbing motion like this. Because if we catch on some stuck paper, say this paper here jams our tool up, we can dig into the drywall with this corner here, and that will cause problems that we don't want. So this is the kind, if we're going to use a metal scraper, a metal knife, we want to have this type of action. Just place it on. You can do it that way if you like. And just place it on flat and move it forward. And if the paper isn't soft enough yet to do that, then we need to give it more time. But as you can see, the chemical paper remover has worked. So let's see what it's like to pull this off now. Good, so that's coming off with very little effort. And it may be that it's just the surface, the majority of it could be the surface paper. But as we've demonstrated, we can take off whatever backing paper is left. We can take that off with the scraping tool. So let's continue to see how, see how we left some of this backing paper has been left on. So we just take this surface off, and then we apply more of the chemical wallpaper remover, and then after a few minutes we can come back and scrape it off. So now we've waited just a couple more minutes since we reapplied our chemical wallpaper stripper, and now we're going to see if we can strip this off the way I would like to see it done, the way everyone would like to see it done, without a scraper at all. This is our ideal goal. If we can do this, this would be fantastic. I'll just show you. There. Beautiful. We can just pull that right down. No need for a scraper. Nothing. But what we can do, while things are still relatively soft, is take that wet sponge again, some clean water, and wipe this whole surface down. That'll keep things really nice and clean, and it'll be less fuss when we go to paint. If you enjoyed that quick demonstration on how to remove wallpaper, it's just to give you an idea of what it looks like to remove wallpaper properly. And the least scraping we have to do on the wall, the better. If we can pull it off in one smooth motion, that's the ideal goal. Feel free to leave comments or questions and I'll respond to them. If you have any ideas for video demonstration, by all means leave that. And don't forget to subscribe. So until next time, it's been Craig the Muskoka Painter, helping you take the pain out of painting.